study habit. So in order to make sure that we remember what we've experienced during the getting it phase of learning, we're going to need to practice it daily, every day. I'll just wait while that sinks in. That's a little bit upsetting, isn't it? But self-directed learning, this is the grown-up response to GCSEs and A-levels. This is stepping into growth and development and accepting this is the way our brain works. You know, just like we looked at earlier, cognitive distortions, upsetting the way it works, but that's the way it works. We've got to accept the way the brain works and we've got to work with it. And once we work with it, we can get so much more out of it. So we know that our brain builds our mind. You know, when we wake up in the morning, that grogginess you feel, that's called sleep inertia. The brain builds us out of the circuits that are coming out of sleep. And we live in that space in our minds. Our mind is a model the brain creates of its own operation. And we can use our mind to change our brain. So how does a study NeuroNinja change their brain using their mind? Well, basically, it means us taking the evidence and the information from neuroscience and psychology, which is resounding. There's not really an argument in science now about the importance of spacing and practice in relation to learning. It's about taking that argument and applying it to a change in our habits. So we can use our mind, think, okay, I've got it. I understand that there's getting it, practicing it and using it. And I need to begin that process of becoming a study NeuroNinja. So what do I need to do? How do I build a study habit? Well, you can build a habit in any way, shape or form using this formula. It will take some time. It's not instant because we're talking about growing neural architecture. The way we use our mind to change our brain is we grow neural architecture. How do we grow neural architecture? Do we need surgery? No. All we need to do is do something in a repeat way, because you saw how your brain changes as you practice. So how can we do that? Well, let's take exercise as an example. Say you've been convinced by the 12 rocks of well-being and you've heard all the evidence that exercise helps attention and focus and it's good for your physical health as well, and you want to build an exercise habit. Any habit is built through simple acts, repeated acts. So this is what you need to do. You need to convince yourself with the evidence. No point, you know, blaming other people and thinking that's not fair. I don't want to have to exercise. We're living in human bodies. They need exercise. The brain needs exercise. So you're convinced by the evidence. Then you choose a time when you're going to do the new habit, 8 a.m. in the morning, 5 minutes in the lounge, just 5 minutes to start with. And you repeat and repeat and repeat. And you might do it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 minutes at 8 a.m. After that period of time, just arriving in the lounge in your gym kit at 8 a.m., you're going to exercise for 5 minutes. Once the habit's in your life, once you've done A, C, and T, you can do S. You can stretch the habit. You can maybe do a different exercise at a different time, or you could increase the length of the exercise habit. As for exercise habit, for a study habit, it's the same. Different time of day, different space. And we're going to teach you in the next episode how to build a study habit and what to put in it and how to work it every day. So use the ACTS model to build a study slot, because every time you learn something, your mind is like a bucket and with holes in it, and 70% of what you've learned every day is dumped by the brain. Forgetting is an active process in the brain, as active as remembering is. You won't remember what you had for lunch 3 Wednesdays ago unless you always have the same lunch on a Wednesday, because your brain will have forgotten it. It's actively designed to do that. Otherwise, the brain would fill up with loads of pointless information that we don't need. So we need to make sure that we're repeating important information, and GCSE and A-level information is important because the development of us moving forward, growing in moving to the things we want to do, it has to go through that barrier of those GCSEs and A-levels. And we can deal with that barrier much more effectively if we work with the grain of our brain.